Okay, share screen. Ba, ba, ba. Uh, Can you see my screen now?
I can indeed.
Very good.
Very well put together, I tell you.
Oh yeah, I put
Thank
the
you.
yeah. So we're actually being recorded now, Denise. So we're off. This is you're the final one actually. So I did pretty well, didn't I? I chose three good people to do the first the Longford 15, the Longford Dream Team last 20 years podcast with. I think I did well.
Are you saving the best to last? Is that it,
Saving the
Stephen?
best to last. There you go. She's on the ball. Tommy Flaherty is her well drilled. So what do you think of this team that we're looking at right now? Look at that. Look at the boys. Jesus Christ, how young. Good Lord.
How young were we as well? You know,
Unbelievable.
you think
I was in the car driving back from Dublin, going when that game was. I will never forget it. Rainy day, lashing rain, absolutely bucketing down somewhere on the motorway, listening to it on the radio, and absolute mayhem it was. Yeah,
I
brilliant.
had the flu and I was not allowed out of the house. Daddy went to the match with Roger Martin and I cried and cried. And Mommy said, no, she said, not a hope in hell are you going.
Oh,
And I nearly
just
threw a tantrum, yeah.
good Lord.
So I
Yeah,
missed
I
it.
was on the listen, but it was good on the radio. But I've said to be there now. It's been something else. But look at the
Yeah,
size of Enda Barden there. Look at Donald Ledwith. Good Lord, he's the same height as
Brendan Burke.
Brendan Burke.
Yeah,
But
you never realised that with
look at the
Donal.
height of him, yeah, and he's the same height as Liam Keenan as well. Nine.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're all young there. That's a good side. Look at that, Martin Mulady in there. Martin got a mention in one of the teams there the other day.
I seen it
Brendan
in the
Burke.
leader one. It's only when you go through it, Stephen, and I was looking at the one in the leader and I was thinking, what talent do we have in this county?
We
Or had
have
as well.
but sure, listen, like when you go back looking over the years, like if you could just take that bloody Dublin team out of it and let them go off and play in Ulster for a season or something, like I reckon Longford could easily, not easily obviously, but could definitely have a run at Leinster if Dublin just weren't there. You know what I mean? Like I reckon they
Yeah.
wouldn't really fear any of the other teams like Meath.
Or if we were in Connacht. How many Connacht titles will we have?
I don't know. Galway are all right, and Mayo are all right as well. If
You're a little bit afraid of us now, remember?
Rossies as well. Yeah, I know. I just think if Dublin weren't there, I think
Yeah,
Leinster is just wide open. I just don't see anything
definitely.
you'd
Yeah.
fear really. Like you definitely have plucked off one or two over the last 20 years, I reckon. So, but anyway, they're there, and they'll just have to be bet.
That's
They'll
exactly
just
it.
have to be bet hard. That's the way it's going to have to be done. So anyway, let's go. Let's throw it in. So first question, Denise. What is your favorite GAA ground in the country?
Well, obviously, apart from Glennon Brothers Pierce Park and probably Crow Park, there's a toss up between Offaly, Park Sean, or Celtic Park, but I might actually say Celtic Park. I like the ground. I love where it's situated. I love Derry as a city, and just thinking back to 2014, what a win up there. So I probably would give Celtic Park the edge there.
Yeah, that's a good one. Derry. I haven't been. I've actually. It's one place I've actually haven't played in Celtic Park before.
Really?
I played soccer in Derry. I played in
I was
the.
going to say that you played the Brandywell.
No, I played the Foyle Cup. Um,
Oh,
it's an underage tournament, big
yeah.
international underage tournament up there. Very good tournament. Only one thing, I had one of my eyebrows shaved off by a I'll never forget that. My
Not my
Derry,
brother, no.
yeah, disaster. Anyway, we're not talking anymore about that. Football or soccer?
Ah, football.
Football all the way. Okay, point for the.
Has to be. Hello, I'm from Granard, sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So to me now. That's a really tough call. That's being honest now. And
So
if you were to put
you
rugby
played,
into it as well, that would be even tougher. That's a really.
hello, you're a
I
jack
don't
of
know
all
if I could
trades, sir.
choose.
You were able to play all them sports. See, a
Mm,
lot of people would associate me with the soccer, obviously, with Longford Town.
mm,
But when you're from Granard and kind of, when you're live that close to the park, and you've been going down there since you were young, and then obviously Sean playing and everything, and then I got involved with the club, I'd always have that. But listen, don't get me wrong, I love going over to Bishopsgate now, I'll have to call it. I was nearly going to call it City Calling Stadium, Bishopsgate now, and watching Longford Town. And obviously, I'd follow Liverpool and Celtic and that. So I would like soccer, but if I had a choice, it would have to be the football.
Yes, that's big. Jesus, there's what would you call it? We have controversy already. Good Lord. What's the key? I have to change that. What is the key to a good team?
See, you're looking at different teams over the last couple of years, and I suppose playing as a team. I've watched teams over the last number of years and that have a lot of very good individuals, but would never play as a team. And if you can get that 15 to click and listen to the manager, but also the manager to listen to them as well, that's a big thing, because you both have to be singing from the same hymn sheet. So I think for a team, just that just to click, to gel, and just no egos.
The county minor team, Leinster winning county minor team. The one that with Mickey Huzzy and Fergus was playing on it as well. Yeah. That team, it was actually the year after I played minor. They clicked. Oh my God! And that final is a fantastic.
The year after you played minor, and remember a bit of controversy there yourself.
No, we won't get into that. That's no. You see, I think lessons were learned, and then the following year.
I like the way you say that. Lessons were learned.
Yeah,
but yeah,
exactly.
You say that about that too.
And the following year, Mickey Huzzy just went and decided he was going to kick some ass.
Oh,
I tell you, you could just watch him play all evening. And do you know what? Surprisingly, hasn't got too many mentions here in any of these teams. And I would definitely, I mentioned him in my. I'm pretty sure I mentioned him in my team as an honorable mention. But I mentioned loads of people. But yeah, definitely Huzzy, Mickey.
Yeah, because you actually miss Huzz. You know what?
I tell you, if you were listening to Seamus, he was all about the longevity of players. So Mickey had a long Edwardstown career, but no more than myself. He didn't have that long county career.
County one,
You know what I mean? So that's maybe why.
That's it. Yeah.
But when you look at the match against. The final there against Meath, the second goal, the double dummy, and he is a terror to mark. You couldn't, he will do that, and the 2 feet, you know what I mean? I think both goals are with the left. He's predominantly right-footed, and both goals with the left foot, that's a real sign of class, 2 feet, that able to just dummy a player and bang, ideal dream corner forward. But anyway, Mickey, you're an honorable mention on my team, and maybe on Denise. All right, who's your favorite manager ever, any sport?
That is a tough one, because
I know, it's an awful. These are horrible questions. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Lynch. I like asking these questions. I don't like being asked them. My favorite. There's so many. Great time.
Just off the top of your head, it doesn't even. You can change your mind.
Love Mickey Hart. Jim Gavin he's brought Dublin to the ultimate level. Also soccer wise, you have to give Neil Lennon, Jurgen Klopp, obviously. I suppose there's one guy that's actually sticking out in my head now.
There's one that's sticking out in my head for you as well.
Stephen Kenny.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
God, Lynchy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was thinking that. Great minds think alike. I knew you were going to go for Stephen Kenny.
I won't add the next bit about fools. About
which?
Fools seldom differ.
All right. You might be going over my head there a little bit. Maybe is it something to do with me? No, it's not.
No, it's there's a saying, great minds think alike, and then people kind of on.
Oh, right. Okay, I thought you were talking about because I played under Stephen Kenny. You know that?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, the European.
Only a brief period, But he's a special manager. You know what I mean?
He's a man that got a bunch of, basically, do you remember the Renford rejects? You know, sorry, Billy Pert and all the lads, but he brought in these bunch of nobodies. And look what he done with them at Longford Town.
Yeah, yeah, and we came through with a good under-21 team at the time,
Yeah.
you know, and he brought a few of them in. There was some very good players.
Actually,
He was very good with the youth, you know what I mean? Like, he was always good at bringing, and that's why I think he'll do well with Ireland. I think
yeah, with Ireland,
young lads, and you know, he'll definitely. I hope now it goes well for him. I'm sure it will. But that's some rise through the ranks.
isn't it just?
That's a fairy tale there, like, you know what I mean? I think he
Oh,
started
you
with
can
Pat
say that now.
under 21s, was it, to Longford?
Yeah, Pat's under 21s. See, Talatown, then Pat's under 21s. And I remember at that stage, I wasn't really going to matches anymore. You know, kind of you go over there and you've, you know, home farm fans slagging you off and everything. And I remember Donald Keogh ringing our house about something and saying to myself and Daddy, you know, put her on the phone and come over with a great new manager and all these young players that he's going to bring in. And we said, oh, you know what, we'll go over. And it's amazing now. And Stephen always remembers the people.
Oh
The club
yeah,
back then.
yeah. You remember everybody. It'd be cute.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose if you're looking at the likes of Alex Ferguson and them, like, they're very cute now. They know that they have to remember the name of everybody at the club. You know, that would be.
It's about, basically, it's more about off the field really than on the field, isn't it, Stephen? Now it's such a business. So at least you can say now that you played under.
But Stephen Kenny, like, the butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. But I'll tell you, when he got angry, I'll tell you, you wouldn't want to. So that's what I think. I think he has the steel for it. I think he has the resolve.
Yeah.
To deal with these lads, and I hope the players now don't get ahead of themselves. Now he's the manager. He's got the job for a reason, and they should just get behind him now. And I think the fact that he's done such good work with the under-21s as well, he's going to bring a few of them through. Could be a few good years for Irish football, you know. Please God.
I think so too.
Yeah. Well, Longford manager. That's where he learned his trade, you know.
Yeah.
Good man. All right, let's go. You went for Damien Sheridan.
Yes, I went for Damien. Like, it's such a tough call, and at the moment, and I've seen a few people talking about Colm Farrell, and I feel that Colm, you know, so unlucky with the county, because to me at the moment in time, he probably is the best goalkeeper in Longford. But just Damien, when you think of, he was the last line of defence, he also played when he had rheumatoid arthritis. He was cool, calm, such a leader, definitely not afraid to give orders. Though sometimes, we know, when he used to run out of goals, now you'd be like, oh, he'd have a rush of blood. But just everything about him, and when you see how long of a career he had as well.
Yeah. I said it yesterday. Yeah, he's complete pro, you know. Is he still playing, or is he retired?
No, he's retired, and he does a lot of development for Longford, and he's got a little boy, Rian. Unfortunately, Rian had meningitis and was quite sick, but is great now, and they're down in Galway, and he's got makings of a little hurler now. So.
Oh yeah, hurling.
Yeah.
Ah, God, get him back playing for Longford, hurling for Longford. The boys.
That's exactly it.
That's another thing. We could also, I was thinking about that. We've had some great hurlers down through the years. We should really do a Longford hurling best 15 there, shouldn't we?
Yes.
Who would be the man? We'll hopefully Joe O'Brien will be listening to this podcast. Joe, if you're listening in, give us a name there, and we get the best 15. You know. Best 15 hurlers. There's been some great ones down the years. There's been some fantastic hurlers.
You've mentioned the one. I remember Frank Brown said to me, and George O'Connor, the great George from Wexford, was amazed with some of the hurlers in Longford, but just picked out Joe O'Brien and said that guy would walk on to any team, any of the top teams.
But same in football. He's the same.
Yeah.
But definitely in hurling, he's always been playing hurling. He's been leading the line for the Longford hurlers for God knows how long now at this stage.
Yeah.
But there's been some good ones. There was a Coco as well used to play, and and the Cork, he was a good hurler as well. There's been some great ones. All right, and then David Mulvihill. I haven't seen too much of David Mulvihill now.
David's from Rathline.
Yes,
big
yes.
guy. He's on the county team at the moment.
Right.
I just think he's another. I think I used to play in goals, and I was always told you had to be mad to be in goals.
Oh, you
So
definitely. Sean played there.
yeah, I think yeah. Well, he definitely didn't take after his sister. Yeah, but that's one thing about David. He is like he's extremely tall, but he's also agile and everything.
Hmm.
Himself and Pat Farrell from Killisheena were the sub keepers, and so it's hard for them to kind of push in Paddy Cullum. But I would rate David Mulvihill very well, very highly.
Very good. Is he an under? Is he how old is he? Is he young or?
He'd be youngish enough now. I don't know exactly now.
So
What
there's
age
plenty of
David
time for a
Mulvihill.
goalkeeper.
Listen,
Plenty of
that's
time
exactly it.
to
Yeah,
make a
that's
breakthrough.
exactly it.
Very good.
Look at
But
Vinny O'Rourke.
Damien Sheridan straight in there. Good man again. So but again, it's the same kind of names, like Damien, it has to be, like he almost has to be there, you know what I mean? He's there, it must
Yeah,
be 13 years, was it more even?
yeah,
I don't know how many years he was on the county panel, but it was a long time. You went for Dermot at right corner back.
yeah. You look at Paddy Fox, and I think Paddy Fox has the makings of being another Dermot. In a couple of years' time, Paddy Fox will be on everyone's top 20 team because the guy has just got it. But Dermot, and he's probably going to be on most people's teams. And from looking at it, he has been on most people's teams. And what can you say about him that hasn't already been said? He's tenacious, a battler, also a great leader. And he's not just good at defending, like he likes to go forward too. And he's a great reader of the game.
Yeah,
And
you
what I like
took the
about
words
him
out
is
of my mouth. That's what I was
like,
thinking. He reads the
in the
game very
last
well.
number of years, like he has just he never let the club or county down because you thought, when he retired from Longford, we actually did miss him. And he used to hate doing interviews. He used when I'd ring him up for an interview, he'd say, "Oh, can you not make up stuff or use last year's stuff?" And that was one thing because I think he kind of preferred to let his feet do the talking.
Yeah, Dermot, I know Dermot since St. Mel's, even a bit with
Hmm,
Slashers and a bit down, but he was always kind of a bit older than me. But
yeah,
certainly when I thought he really came into his own when he started getting that free role for Slashers, that kind of between the halfback and the full back line, and he just cleaning up there, you know what I mean? Very good reader of the game, so
yeah,
he was definitely the driving force of their championship run too. Not just the county team. You know what I mean? Like he really drove that club from the back. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And then Cormac Smith as well.
I find, and it was just myself and Dad now when we go to the championship games, we look out for guys that mightn't exactly make it. And he's one player that he would always impress. He
Yeah.
doesn't do anything flashy. And another young lad would be Michael McHugh as well. A couple of years ago, Michael McHugh had a fantastic year for Abbey and then unfortunately got injured.
Hmm.
But Cormac is like that, just does the job, goes about it quietly, doesn't do anything too out of the way. And, he's one of the guys that didn't or doesn't get enough recognition, I think.
Yeah, a bit of an unsung hero,
Yeah, yeah,
and as I said, like lads like Cormac, they always get the sticky job too. Like they always get
yeah,
this job where they have to mark someone like Mickey Hussey.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Or Philly, you know what I mean? Or Podgy Davis, like coming into you there, like you're just gonna have your hands full for 60, 70 minutes. You have to
yeah.
concentrate, you have to be on your game. These lads are gonna try and slip you, dummy so yeah, good. I'm very happy. That was a good call there, Cormac Smith. So he's in as your honourable mention. Very good. All right, we'll move on. Let's keep going. Fullback, Padraig McCormack.
Listen, we
We
could
put
have
him
put
in
him
full.
anywhere.
Some people are putting him wing, some people putting him centre
Yeah,
half back, but he's always in.
he's always in. Like,
Yeah.
even from when he was a minor, Stephen, you just knew this guy had something special. Like, and he matured into one of the best players that we have actually produced in this county. He's an absolute joy to watch. Tough tackler, also a bit like Brady, great reader of the game, fantastic leader. When Longford don't have him and when Clough don't have him, you just know that. And I remember the great run in 2013 with the under-21s. To me, he had something akin to Paul Barton, as in that leader, as in that someone that you want as a
What
role
was this
model,
with the under
someone that you could
21s?
look up to. Yeah,
What position was he playing for the under-21s?
Centre half back, I think, was in the
Centre
under
back, yeah,
21s.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say he was,
that's
yeah,
the
good
position.
centre back, good full back. It's hard to know.
It is. It's hard
He's
to know.
got so much football in him. I'd nearly prefer him at centre back. You know what I mean? Like, because he's got that.
The problem is when you've Donny McGilligan as well.
Oh, you're giving
That's
away
why I
your
was kind
team
of
now. You can't.
Oh,
Donny, you might not be in centre back. She's just giving an example of another
yes, that's
centre
it.
back. But no, I get what you're saying. No, but honestly, no, Padraig McCoy. Oh, but you like full back. What a full back. So you've Barry as the other and Carl Connerty as the other honourable mentions.
Yeah,
Again, names that just keep cropping up. You know.
Yeah, toss of a coin when you think of it, though. I just think McCormick, for how young he is and the games he's played in big games. But listen, can't say much about Mr. Gilran that hasn't already been said. Really great guy, and I remember talking to him when he just said announced his retirement from the county, and I was just saying one last go. I know he just wanted, a bit like Dermot, wanted to ride off into the sunset. And Carl Connerty, another great player that done it for county and for his club Granard.
Yeah, Barry. Yeah, how old would Barry be? Maybe a couple of years younger than me, so he must be about 33, 34. Yeah, but like county football as well. It's very taxing.
Yeah.
I think it's clever move sometimes to know when to say,
Yes.
like, because you know you just know yourself when
you
it's
could
just
do it for clubs,
you're not feeling
Stephen,
it. And if you're not feeling it, there's absolutely no way you should be playing county football. If you're not 100% in it,
yeah.
like, forget about it. You know what I mean? Or just take a year off, even. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Barry there could still be another year in him. You know what I mean? You wouldn't know. Maybe after this COVID crisis, everybody's just itching to play like county
back
football.
And play football,
again,
exactly.
like, mad to go. Maybe Cahill might even throw on the boots again and go in for another year of it. Yeah, Carl Connerty, another very honest player, very, very, very good player as well. Yeah, watching the couple of finals there, and he's always stands out. Yeah, all right, very good. Declan Riley, left cornerback.
Do you know what I could have actually put him in a full forward, because the guy can play everywhere. He's such a versatile player.
Don't start telling people now who your full forward is.
No, I'm not going to. No, that's a secret. Right. Yeah, like, I think for Declan, his versatility is probably one of his best qualities, because he can play in a number of positions on the field. Like, he can defend, and I tell you, what a tackler, but can also score, and he's done that in the last couple of years for Cullen-Kill. An all-round terrific player, and one guy that I just love watching. And when you think of, he was part of that 2002 minor winning team as well, and the fact that he's still kind of putting those performances in, and it's just a pity that he left county when he did, because he could have, up until a couple of years ago, could have still done a job at county level.
I still think he had a very, very good county career. Like, he must have played county for 8-9 years. You know what I mean? Like, and all the
under 20. So much more in him. Like,
he was on a very good under 21 team as well. Like, he was on our 21 team. Like, he was just different class, different level. But yeah, as you said, very versatile as well. Like with Cullen-Kill, you'd see him centre mid, you could see him centre half forward, you could see him full forward, you could see him anywhere. You just kind of sickened when you see him. You're just like, Riley's fit. Who's on him? Who has to mark him? You know what I mean? Like,
and because he's so small, like,
it wouldn't matter even now that he's coming to the end of the career. He'd still.
He'd still be able to. Yeah,
he's still all over the place.
Shake him off, Lindsay. That's it.
I was thinking of another good club man of his that hasn't really got a mention that I think should have as well is Podgy Murtagh.
Yeah, the last couple of years now, Podgy's
for their teams that won the championship, and Podgy is a good stalwart, a very good player too, very clever player. I'll tell you. But I just thought I'd mention him because I'm not going to be doing any more of probably I mightn't do any more of these 15. So I just thought Podgy definitely had a great career as well. You went for Mixie and Peter Brady as your honourable mentions.
Yeah, you know yourself with Brian Sheridan. You've played with him at the club. I think he was harshly dealt with in the county, but can still do a job for Granard. I put him in corner back. He can play right corner, left corner, full back. He can play anywhere in the half back line. Last year, to me, was probably one of his best years for Granard, and he's 37. I just thought, he could still do a job, if you ever want him. And when you see that, Ryan Casey thinks so highly of him as well. And, he was itching and raring to go for this year. So please God, we will have another year of football, because you kind of ask, explain this year or what the story is. And then obviously Peter Brady, it's so hard, as I said, when you look at all the players we have in the county, because Peter Brady, fantastic player, himself and Michael, two guys that, wouldn't get hear much out of them, and, they just let the football do the talking, but still, they would do a job, they're underrated.
Quarterbacks are almost opposite to Declan Riley in stature and strength. Yeah. They're both strong lads there, you know what I mean? Like they don't take any prisoners. They're and as you said, like quiet as well, they don't go about their business there in a nice quiet way, but get the job done,
That's it.
Yeah, Peter Brady has fierce strength, but Declan Riley has everything.
I think it's just his versatility, as I said.
The balance, just watching him, just with the ball, just that, he can just sidestep anybody, really. Yeah, great player. Where are we now? Right wing back, Mickey Quinn.
Well, listen, we talk about other players, being so versatile, and we can say the same about this guy. Cool, calm, collected. That's the three C's when you talk about Mickey. He can talk a good game, but he can also play it. He's a fantastic talker. He's a great guy to interview. But I think his best position for me is either in the halfback line or midfield. That's where I like to see him. But
you don't
like
see
in the
him
counties,
in the forwards. You like him in the.
He likes going in there. And the thing about Podgy Davis has said that Kevin Diffley, Gally, and Mickey have a free rein, that if one of them feel like they can go into the forward line, they're allowed to go in there. That's what he kind of wants, because three big men in around the corner. But I still think that I just like seeing him there, because he's a bit like a Ducky Daly years ago. Like, he likes going forward, but he offers so much to a team. That's what I love. And he brings other players into the game as well. Just, kind of, there's not many things you can say about Mickey that hasn't already been said by so many people. And when you look at it, he's in so many people's teams as well. He's a fantastic year.
How many years now is he on the team, on the county team? Jeez, must be.
See, when you think, well, actually, when he came back I remember him coming back from Australia, and initially played in a minor match above in Navan. That was it. He came back from Australia and was straight on to
the field, and hasn't taken a break, and just still has the enthusiasm for it. It's great to see, you know. But yeah, he'll end up, he already is, but when he finishes up, he's good. Like, he has another few years in him, you know what I mean? He'll be a legend. He already is on the way anyway, you know what I mean? But there's still many big games left, I think, in Mickey Quinn. I don't think we've seen the best of him.
No, I don't think so neither,
I think there's going to be some massive games in him in the next couple of years. Colin P. Smith, now this is a man that I think I marked Colin a few times, 2-3 times anyway. Yeah, a good honourable mention there. To tell me, why did you put him in?
Thing about it is, you could put Colin P in any of the positions in the back line as well. And just like his brother Cormac, there's just something about the Smith boys. They've the same way of playing football. They go about it in the same manner. They're quiet enough lads, and they just prefer to go out and play their football. Maybe get a yellow card or two, but sure, isn't that what we like about it? But he could do a job, like when the county needed players back. When Nocta went on a fantastic run and they were stuck with players, and Podge was looking for any guys to come in. Colin P came into the county. He held his hand up and said, "Come in." And to me, it was fantastic. It was sad to see him leaving the county for a number of years, but it was absolutely great to see him back. And he's a great guy. And I remember he was part of the under-21 team in 2012 that got to the Leinster final, and he was actually captain of the team. And I just found, from talking to him and watching him on the field, You know, he was a real leader. I loved his leadership qualities. And, you know, when you look at the team, as I said, it's very hard to, you know, that's why thankfully you gave us honourable mentions, because some of these guys are unlucky not to actually make the 15.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's well able for the inter-county level. You know what I mean? He's a clever guy. I just think there's a cleverness to his play. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
he's got the fitness. He's got. I just think he's quite. His positional sense is very good, and he's clever. Like, yeah, I know by marking him, he's clever. You know what I mean? Like, and then he catches you out as well, because he's not afraid to kind of as a half back. You know what I mean? He'll go as well, like, and he makes you kind of think like you don't have it all your own way. You know what I mean?
Oh no, and
He
he's
doesn't
got
just
some
follow you
speed.
around. He'll every now and then he'll make a break, and then you have to follow him. And yeah,
That
no,
first, yeah,
he's a good player. Yeah, John
yeah.
Sheridan. I don't know
Yeah,
John.
John Sheridan from Granard, and his brother Bernard
Yeah, I do
probably as
know.
well.
Yes,
Yeah, could have made the squad, because they're a bit like your Cormac Smiths. You go to
yes,
games
yes.
and
I know John. Yeah, John is a good
yeah,
player. Yeah.
Francie would
Oh,
stand out, or you know, James would do something, or the ball would do something, and you know, and yet you look at there and you're going, "Jeez, John Sheridan was solid again," or Bernard was, you know, and actually I forgot to mention Bernard anyway, so I give him an honourable mention now. Bernard, you know, they just done their job, underrated,
mm.
modest,
And he's always
good,
there. Every time
yeah,
you play
exactly,
Dramard,
yeah,
John is playing that position, right wing
yeah.
back. You know what I mean? And yeah, because I was watching the 2010 final there, and yeah, he was there. He was wing back. I was like, "Who's wing back? Who's?" Ah, yeah, there he is, Joshua. Yeah, exactly. Very, very. He's always there. He's always there. There.
That's it, exactly. Always there, and he's probably, for the managers down to the years, you know, the end Dan Mackin and Sean Hagan and Niall, that you know they're picking the team. They probably are. We'd expect you, obviously, Francie and them lads. I'd say probably the two Sheridan's, John and Bernard, are in there. You know,
Straight in. Yeah,
good guys
yes.
that kind of,
They're all,
you know,
yeah, I'd say they're good club men
build,
as well. I
build a
don't
team
know them
around
very
them.
well, but I imagine they go to every train and they'd be, very
Yeah,
disciplined lads. So that's a great call. Great call there, Denise. Happy with that. Right, let's go. Donny again. That's 2 pints you owe me now, because I put in that photo twice now for you.
Bernie and Dan will love this now.
Oh, I'm telling you, they're gonna love it. They're gonna hit it. Donny will be loving it as well. Look at that for a photo. Great photo. I love that photo.
Um,
Yeah, if that photo was taken of me, I would want them to use it for this kind of thing. Like I'd be like, yeah, put in the one where I flattened that fella from Dublin. Who is it? Who is he flattening? Oh, it's your man. It's the guy, the corner for the fast guy. What's his name?
Colin,
Oh, Con O'Callaghan. That's who it is. And he's after absolutely upending him there. So you went for Donny.
I went for Donny. He's for club and county one of the best guys to watch playing football. You know, it's no coincidence that last year when he did go off injured against Cullenkin in the championship, that Mullinock struggled. I know that it was a long year for them with Leinster and everything, but I just felt that, you know, he was a leader. He was someone that, you know, held things together. And when you lose someone like that, when you lose a player like Donny, it was very hard for those players. If they did rally, he's got great drive and a great passion. And you watch him in the county as well. Unfortunately, he got injured against us in 2018 and wasn't able to take the penalty. So it was Gary Rogers that took the penalty, that won the Leinster Championship for Mullinock. But
Great
Donny can
penalty it
take
was.
I was going to say, Donny can take a sweet penalty, a bit like yourself. You know, you probably look at these penalty takers, but Donny can take one too. And a guy that can also play, you know, could have had him. That's why I put McCormick at full back, because I want to put Donny out at centre half back. He puts Donny on either the wing, but such is the talent that we do have in our county that, you know, I just think is his best position. But listen, he can play in the 40 as well. Just has everything going for him. And another guy that, you know, we're very lucky at the moment in Longford to have him, and we're building a team around the likes of him and Mickey Quinn.
Yeah, I like him up on the half forward line, actually, to be honest, because do you know what he has in his artillery? He's got a good long range point, man. He can stick a point
Yes.
from distance. I would like
And
to.
not afraid to take, which I like a player. Sometimes you're there going, and it's like phases in rugby, and you just take a pot, and Donny is the type. Well, actually, all McGilligan's would like that, but Donny is the type of lad that would say, just if the shot's on, I'll take it.
Yeah, he'll go for it for sure. Yeah, and David Blessington and Enda Williams are your honourable mentions at centre.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Blessy. It's just probably at the last couple of years.
I wonder if Blessy will listen to this. Someone will have to tell him, because
you can just imagine now Blessy sitting down after a hard day's
work. A cup of tea there and a couple of digestive bits.
Annie said to me, you should listen to this.
Listen to the old football chat there,
Exactly.
We'll see.
Just with Donny over the last number of years, and when I knocked his run and everything, he just come to the fore. But Blessy, and up until a couple of years ago, he could still do a job for Granard, and you could put him in the middle of the park. And a guy that will give, even when you look at Call's work, what he done with the park in there, a guy that will give 110%. That is one thing about David Blessington. And if he doesn't, he gets an eye with himself, really, because Blessy just wants himself to do well, and he wants his teammates to do well. That's one thing about Blessy. He's got that thing, and from playing with him and training with him with Granard.
Yeah. I find Blessy just kind of like a very GAA man, you know what I mean? Like, he's just every training he's there, he's serious. Like, he's a bit of crack too, but when it's time to to go, and if you're on his team and you're not there, he'll look you straight in the eye, and he'll question you just with a look. He'll be like, "Are you here? Are you present? Do you know what?"
It looks good.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, Lynch, are you ready to go? And if you're not, you wouldn't look him back. You know what I mean? He's got it. There's a switch. You know what I mean? And when he decides it's time to go, just he's going to be going hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think he's a great, brilliant, and 2 feet as well. And again, like Donny, had that long distance range. You know what I mean? Had the pop them over from 30, 40, on the run. So I think Blessy's a great call. Enda Williams, another good call. Yeah.
And another guy from it's good to see, and it's great to see in the last number of years, when you think of the 2000 team, the 2002 team, lads doing well, and then obviously the minor 2010, and then under 21 of 2013, you'll see those lads coming through, and always so good for Clongish. Same with Longford. Then he moved to Leitrim, and now he's came back to Longford, and now he's over in New York with Jerry Fox and the lads over there. But another guy that would give 110%. It's just, I think Donny offers just that little bit more, but he was a real warrior.
Sure. Willie and Willie was on the team for a long time as well. No, he definitely has had a lot of quality, and another one I think a bit like Dermot Brady, like very good reader of the game. You know what I mean? In games, he always just seems to be in the right place. Sweeping up there. I thought he was a good sweeper, very good sweeper. If you had him in a team and you could afford to put him into that kind of role between the half-back, full-back line, like, he's going to clean up there, you know what I mean? Very and good distributor and could score. I think he was playing. Was he playing half forward on the county minor team?
Yeah.
Half forward, like, you know what I mean? So he's well able to take a score as well. He got a very important point in that final, actually. But very good.
Think of versatility that we have in the county. Players can play in so many positions, and we're really blessed.
Oh yeah, well that's the sign of a good player. He can play in a couple of positions,
Exactly.
All right, left half back.
Had to put him in. It was a tough one, because you look at Shane Mulligan as well, and when you look at the Bull and Shane, probably the same kind of guys and their longevity and all, but I just think there's something about him. Like, I'm just, the other day I was looking back on games over the last number of years, and you can still joke, but for me the one that stood out was the Monaghan game in 2016. he was just immense that day. He was a real warrior. He was such a battler, and he just epitomised everything that, you know, he kind of wanted in a really good player, you know, a really good defender. As I said, you know, the two guys honourable mentions, they could have easily slipped in there, but it's very hard not to have him. And a guy that can also get up, you know, you can put him in midfield or put him further up as well. He can play in a number of positions as well.
Yeah.
And a guy that can get a score or two for you.
Yeah. And Shane Mulligan there as well. He's in your honourable mentions, and Archie O'Connor. Yeah, Shane has had a very, very good career.
Yeah, and it's still going, you know.
When I
spoke to him in 2016 ahead of the county final, I don't think he realised that I would be stalking him for a further couple of years, and for a Leinster final and all. Like, when you think of what he's done as a captain, it's just, and it was really a toss-up. Kind of, I was thinking, you know, Dermot or Shane. It was very hard, and I think just the last number of years, you know, probably because Dermot played longer with the county as well, and I think probably that maybe swung it. But
Shane won't be happy about that now, Denise. When he sees you there in phase, he's gonna say, "What's the story? What's the story?"
Listen, I've been nice to him now over the last number of years.
That's true. So, I know. To be honest, I think he'd accept Bull. I think he would have no qualms at all with the Bull, Jim Masterson in there. You know,
but some of these decisions, Stephen,
I think your other honourable mention is a really, really good call, actually. Archie O'Connor.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Archie could do it. Archie could do it for club and county. And only up until a couple of years ago was still talking out and playing for Abilar, a bit like James McIntyre too, and Mixie and all them lads. You know, it's great to see those lads that they can still, you know, when your county career kind of gives that, you know, you still come back and you'll give just as much or even if not more to your club. So another guy that offered so much as well was Archie.
Yeah, and the county team now, he was always thereabouts. He could play in midfield, he could play wing forward, he could play wing back, he could play pretty much, you know, anywhere in between the full, even you could play him in the full back line.
Yeah.
You could stick him in full back, corner back, you could nearly play Archie anywhere because he's a clever guy, you know what I mean? He's actually a very good midfielder, I thought. Yeah, Archie, that's a great call. And when is he's not playing still, is he? Or is he playing a bit? No,
he's kind of, and then obviously he's a tough time personally, but listen, a lovely guy, and you know, it's unfortunate that, you know, same kind of guys from the same position, and you're there going, oh my God, you know, there's very little. So that's why it definitely was an honourable mention there.
Oh no, I thought it was a great call. Absolutely, he'd have a couple of championships, Archie, wouldn't he?
Yeah, two with Abilar, which kind of, you know, when you look at poor Brian Sheridan and Vinny O'Rourke and lads like that, none. So, you know, he's
you know, Mixie's still playing. No, there's plenty left in the tank there. Lots of time. He could have four or five before he's finished. Would you stop?
Well, look at Roger Martin still played well into his, I think it was the 60s. So you wouldn't know Brian Sheridan.
He did not. Roger, oh God, really? That's unbelievable. Look at who's next.
Listen,
Darren.
I'm not being biased, but to me, Darren Gallagher has.
I'm the only one that didn't put him in my team.
And you had enough Granard players in it anyway.
I had enough in, I suppose, yeah, but I didn't.
And it's funny, I was talking to James Carroll from Canockburra, and James was saying that, you know, Darren was in first year and it was an under-14 team, and Paddy Fox and Gary Rogers and all them lads were in it, and it was so hard for Darren to get into that team, and you know, and he wasn't one of those players that stood out and looked at over the last number of years. Like, to me, he's turned into one of the best midfielders around, and like, he's proven it for the county the last number of years. But we kind of knew ourselves in Granard the talent he had. And what I love about him is he gives his all for the jersey. It doesn't matter if it's Granard or if it's Longford or if he's playing out in the Laurels or playing out in Ballymore. Remember last year in the league, he turned on the style. You can just do it. He's another guy that reads the game so well. He gets other players involved. You know, you could go on about him. He just has all the attributes, and obviously then, you know, scoring, you can see this lanky guy, but he can defend as well as the scoring. He puts it in the nice blocks.
Filled out rightly. I'll tell you. I remember him growing up in minor, and you know what I mean. I remember seeing Darren around the place. Genie Mac, he must have been so young. Like
Yeah,
I reckon I seen him maybe 14, 15, or growing up, and you're kind of looking at. And do you know what I always noticed about him? Because you'd be at the training ground, you'd be togged out, and maybe there'd be young lads that one of the
yeah.
younger teams would be playing before you. You'd be looking at the game or whatever. He was always deadly accurate. Like he can score.
Yeah.
He knows where the goals are. Like and that I think is in a midfielder that's one of my things I like about Paul Fenton. I like Fenton's gonna chip in 2-3 points, maybe a goal, and Darren has that.
And it takes off when you have a midfielder that has those scoring attributes. It takes the pressure off the forward lines of the
A little
forward
bit,
players as well.
yeah. If you know that you
Imagine
can
having
just hand the ball out to your midfielder and he'll be able to stick it from
yeah,
40 yards. And like Darren has range, like, you know what I mean? He's got
that's it.
very
Yes.
good range. Like, yeah, that definitely. I know I wouldn't feel one bit guilty, to be honest. Like, he's in everybody's team except mine. Sorry, Darren. I didn't put Darren in mine.
Darren, you know who to
I
get in
can't even
training if
remember
you
who
do
I
that.
put in my midfield. Oh, I put Blessy. Sorry, he got nudged out by Blessy.
For Blessy. I'd say he probably got nudged out by Blessy a few times in training.
Yeah. I'd say he learned a lot from Blessy.
That's it, yeah,
You know,
that's it.
you learn a lot from Bless. John Keegan and Liam Keenan then are your honourable mentions.
Yeah, like as I said, and so many positions that you're there going, who do I put in? Who do I put in? And John has had a fantastic couple of years. He's kind of we missed him in the county this year, and he's kind of been in and out. He's taking breaks, and with college work and with work on that, it had been tough for him. But a great player, and hopefully that he will be back with the county next year. We can see more of John. He's kind of the same ilk as Gary. I think bless him, or
Yeah,
he
they'll be
might be
up
a year
marking each
older than,
other when
and they'll be about the same age, or I think maybe
yeah,
Keegan might
they
be
know
a bit
each other
older
very
than
well, of
than
course.
yeah than Gally. And the one guy that the two of them that there could be your midfield. What you call it?
Easily
Keegan and Kigo and Gally,
would
and
be
then
good.
obviously
Very good.
Liam Keenan, fantastic footballer. It's just at this moment in time, I just feel Gally has just everything, and kind of when Gally ticks, Longford tick. When you have Gally, Mickey Quinn, a few of those players,
Mm.
play. I know you can't depend on lads, and it's very unfortunate that you're kind of looking at. But when you see those lads coming into games and involving players, others kind of around, whatever it is around them, to give off something.
Yeah, well,
And
they're the new generation. You need
yeah,
that's what you need. You
yeah,
need lads coming.
yeah,
And it's great to see the boys doing it. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, like it really looked like they were on route for promotion. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Until this, I wonder if they would just like take the league the way it was. Would we actually get promoted then? I'd say we would, but they probably.
No, because actually, yeah, because the two games
They
obviously
were
were
going so
ahead.
well. It's unfortunate. I think they would have gone on. I think they were on route to get promoted there. But sure, it's great to see us having such quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
no, it's brilliant. And for me myself, as I said about being from Granard and so proud, you do actually be proud. I love my county, but it's also nice when you have someone in the county or from your club playing, like when yourself and Blessy were playing, and down to the years, Kevin O'Rourke and different guys like that. It's brilliant. It's kind of
Yeah.
adds that little bit special when you see the Nave where or St Mary's or whatever after the name. And even at the moment in time, the last number of years, with reporters around the country, when you go to different games, Gally is one person that stands out for them. So, when other guys are saying that, it
Yeah.
says something. And unfortunately, if there had been a team in Division 3, Darren Gallagher was definitely one of your
Was
midfielders in
one of
that
your midfielders
this
for
year. Yeah.
sure.
Like,
Sure.
as Benny O'Brien said the other night, and it's true, like, if we had Gally against Kildare, we would have beaten Kildare.
Beating them last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Bernard McIlvany, congratulations. You're on the team. Lee Chin
So,
is Lee Chin is chasing him down there.
You know, it's such a tough one because you look at David Hannafy, a fantastic player, club and county. The same with Michael Brady. Like, Michael Brady played with injuries and everything. You know, the guy would probably come out if his arm was hanging off and his leg was hanging off, and he'd still talk out for Slashers or for Longford. But I just feel for Bernard, and, you know, and Benny even alluded to the, you know, the fact that he never played senior championship football. And in the last number of years, when you look at Ballamore and how well they're doing, and when you look at Ballamore, you know, there was one player that stood out for them, and he was always a hero so many times for them. And, you know, it's such a pity that he left the county early because he could still do a job. And I've been so lucky that I do cover the intermediate championship, and I get the chance to watch Bernard, because if you watch them in club football, it's a bit like Darren Gallagher. You know, I watch lads, and if they can do it, it's great doing it for your county, but you have to go back and try and, you know, do it for your club as well. And Bernard McIlvanney was always that lad that would do well, would give it all for his county, but would also give it all for his club.
Yeah,
and that's the way he's done in the last couple of years, you know. And as I said, it's such a pity he left the county, and then in the last number of years, and unfortunately, he's had injuries, but could still do it.
Oh yeah, but isn't it a real sign that you're, you know, a very good footballer when you can go from intermediate to playing Kerry, you know, like you're able to, like, it's very, you know, that's a real sign of that you're top quality, you know what I mean? Like, how many years did he play for the county midfield? Must be 4 or 5 anyway, was it 6?
Good couple of years, and
Yeah,
I
good
remember him,
couple of
you know,
years in there.
different.
And he was your first name on the team sheet there for a
Yeah,
couple of seasons, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, very
And
good.
I tell you, he's great for us. Like, I remember a goalie scored one time down in Wicklow, and, you know, the points you know, some of the scores he's done, and even, you know, watching him, as I said, it was unfortunate the last number of years though for Ballamore, just the injury had got to him, but he
Yeah,
could still do it. You
yeah,
know, he could
yeah.
still. He's one
Needs
of
to get
those
the
players
injuries.
that, you know, I definitely would rate, and I love going to watch. You know, if I look and see the fixture list, and depending on where I'm sent to, you know, you'd be like, oh God, you know, you look at players and you think, oh yeah, watch this, and it's great getting a chance to see him not only for his club, or not only for the county, but for the club.
Great man, catch a ball.
Oh yes, his
Yeah,
fielding. And you
solid
know
player.
what? You know what? Actually, speaking of fielding, to me, probably one of the best fielders of a ball, Rory McGilligan from Mullinack.
Oh, Rory. That's a good call. Rory McGilligan. I used to have to mark Rory in minor all the way up.
You're lucky it wasn't chops
It
then.
was Northern Gales we'd be playing.
Yeah,
Wasn't Northern? Yeah, it was Northern
yeah,
Gales.
Northern
You
Gales, yeah.
had Derek Smith and Rory McGilligan. Oh,
Oh,
me and David Hines going against these two animals. Yeah, and both of them could pick the ball out of the sky. Yeah, Rory was a great man
yes,
there. So was Derek.
yeah.
Derek was fierce in the air as well. The two of
Yeah,
them.
you forget about Derek. Kind of, you know, in the last number of years, kind of trailed off. But
Yeah.
like Rory, still, you know, at Mullinack, it was great to see him. You
Mm,
know, the last number of years at Mullinack doing so well for him. But yeah, no, just his fielding. You know, you could see
absolutely.
the strappings on his knees, and he's still pecking. They're going, what? Do I remember
Oh, yeah.
what game was it last year
Like the
with
Terminator.
Gally? Gally jumped up for a ball, and I was like going, where the heck won the club? Was it a club game or league game last year? And it was just like plucked the ball out of the sky. So I just love that, the art of
Yeah.
fielding and
Oh,
the
yeah.
art of blocking a ball.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Paul Barden, wing forward with honourable mentions Trevor Smullen and David McGivney.
Jamie McGivney, yes.
Paul.
Listen, unlucky not to get an all-star. To me, and, you know, from the era that I've been in, he is the best player I've seen playing for club and for the county. Just a fantastic servant for Drumlish, or for Clongate and Longford. And you know that old saying, form is temporary and class is permanent, and that's evident in the last number of years for Clongate, because Barden has just showed he still has, like, some of the goals he scored in recent years in the championship for Clongate, some of the things he done, you know, the little dinks, that run. There's just, you know, there's not enough superlatives for Paul Barden. And I'm just thinking back, even, you know, I mentioned Celtic Park earlier on, and his performance up there was just against Derry in 2014 was just absolutely outstanding. And, you know, you're looking back even to the run of 2006, and I remember working in Cork the year before, and knowing a few of the Cork lads, and James Masters and Derek Cavan, and a few of them lads actually had Paul Barden down for an all-star. That's how highly they thought of Paul Barden, and he's thought so highly of But blessed to have him, and as I said, so unlucky not
Yeah,
to
I
get
just think
an
the
All-Star
reason he probably didn't get the
because
All-Star
of Longford.
was we just couldn't get our hands on a freaking Leinster.
Yeah, that was
I
it.
mean, if
Yeah,
you had one run where you won a Leinster or yeah, even an All Ireland quarter final, kind of just didn't
we just missed. Yes, that
just
was it.
missed
Yeah,
that extra game. You know what I mean? Like there
yeah,
was just some years where there was just like even the year against Kerry there. You know what I mean? Like you lost. Like if you won that game, he's cert for an All Star. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
yeah, 100%. So yeah, Trevor Smullen and David McGivney.
Yeah, like David to me has got so much potential. He's only in his early 20s, so there is so much that David McGivney, I think probably about 24, 25. There's so much more in the tank for David McGivney, cracking young footballer. His can take frees, just his football, all-round reader of the game.
Good
Trevor
fielder.
Smullen, Trevor extremely lucky. When I was trying to pick this team and looking at players only for I want to Paul in this position because of other guys I wanted in the other positions, and unfortunately Trevor just couldn't make it. But another guy, such an athlete. That's the one thing about Smullen was he was such an athlete and pacey.
Mm, top notch. Yeah, and again at intercounty level, he was well able for it. Like,
Oh yeah,
he was top. Like he was scoring what 3-4 points a game with us at
yeah.
that time. Like he was just very clever, very very clever player. Yeah, good, great call, great call. Do I have? Yeah, I have to give an honorable mention to an old friend of mine as well. That I didn't get to put. I forgot to say it was Gary Kenny on the wing forward.
Oh,
Old Gary, I'll tell you, good player, good player.
I won't forgive him for the minor final.
That was Mark Birmingham.
Yeah, but Kenny was also in it as well. Oh, yeah, I
I know
remember
he
Mark
was in
Kenny.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
there was loads in a minute. Podgy Farrell, there's a lot
yeah.
of players on that team. There was.
I'm
Um,
still doing it for the thing about
we
it.
never forget that, will we? That minor final. That
Yeah,
one
but
is
she got
one of the. I'd
revenge. She
like.
got revenge in
It's a game I'd
2012.
actually like to see. To be honest. That was a cracking game. Yeah, there was before Abbey were in the final, weren't they?
Yeah, poor old
Again.
Jean Carney got an awful
Oh,
injury. I think that's kind of what knocked Granard that day.
crack
But
like I never heard. That was yeah, that was it, yeah. Yeah, so but Gary gets in there as an honor. Great free taker, he's been at Cashels
sound,
stalwart
and a sound guy as well.
and
So
still playing.
yeah, still doing it
Well,
for
sound
Castle.
as a pound, sure. He was out in Granard after the intermediate final there.
Intermediate,
Great
yeah.
out to have the pints, him and Peter Foy, who's another honourable mention, by the way, from me. I think Peter had a great career as well, or is having. He still looks as fit as a fiddle. So, yeah, but definitely
Close
sound.
by.
All right, let's keep going. Me,
I love the way.
Lynchy, I'm in there.
I love
You put
Stephen
me on
Lynch.
the team.
For so many years, that picture was my screensaver on my computer.
Yeah, it's one of. I don't know if there'll ever be. Dave, I wonder what Blessy is saying to your man there.
He's
Yeah,
probably threatening him.
it's a very funny, very. Who is it? Declan O'Sullivan. Is it Declan O'Sullivan up on the right?
I
Yeah,
need my
Declan
glasses.
O'Sullivan. Yeah, it's some photo,
Podgy's,
isn't it?
Podgy's going to fly away, is?
Yeah, Podgy was delighted. Look at Mickey Huzzy there as well, and Blessy. Yeah, it's a cracker. The boys in the background
Listen,
and everything.
Stephen Lynch.
That was a crazy goal. And you never guess. I don't know if anybody remembers, but I actually thought that was to draw.
Really?
Oh yeah, 100%. Sure, I'm half asleep. Sure, when I was in 5th class in Stone Park, Mrs. Mulligan used to call me Stevie Wonder. I honestly, when we went back into I never forget it. And the boys can back it up. I went back to stretch after the game in the midfield, around midfield. I think I nearly sure I said, geez, we could have won that. And then someone turned around and said, we did win it. I was like,
Oh, Lynchy.
honestly, yeah, I'm nearly sure. I don't know. Maybe they'll think I'm bluffing, but I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I thought that was for a draw. Someone might
Well,
might back me up there.
I don't care if my side were awarded a penalty or a 45 or a free to win a game. there was only one person in this world I would let take it
Kick
or
it.
call upon it, and it's actually you.
What about
I'm
Barden? Paul? What about Paul?
no, Paul
No.
Barden is no, Lynch, and I'm not just saying it to, I'm not just full of, well, some people say I'm full of crap, but I like to be honest and say what's on my mind. Like, I'm lucky to have watched you right away, because obviously you play football with my brother, so right away from underage up until now, you know, you're a superb footballer with so much class. That was one thing. You can play in so many positions. That's why I was kind of going, geez, where will I put him? And you know what, I'll put him in centre half forward. The goal you scored against Slashers in the Leader Cup a couple of years ago is probably the best goal I've ever seen. Do you remember it over in
Oh, the old drop kick.
yeah, Michael Fay Park?
I like a
That was,
drop kick. I have to say, I'm prone to an old drop kick every now and then. It's one of my favorite shots.
bit of a Johnny Sexton.
I
Bit
was
of a Johnny
actually
Sexton.
practicing them there 2-3 weeks ago. I was out practicing me drop kicks. I love a good drop kick. Yeah, they're hard bet.
And
Yeah,
do you remember the 2012 intermediate final, 45, and it was like, who's taking it? It was like Lynchy, and it
2012.
was just
Yeah,
the intermediate
was it
final.
that long ago? Good Lord.
Yeah, was that long ago? She was only a child.
The
Yeah, that
45 that
intermediate.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that intermediate final. Yeah,
that was a nice
and it
strike.
was just. And I
Well,
remember
that was
asking you, Mark.
retribution because we had to win that game because Gary
Yeah,
Kenny and Co stole the minor from me,
that was it. We got
our-
payback on them.
from my fingertips. So I really needed to stick that one over. Yeah, that was an important kick. All
And I
right.
remember asking you after the game, like, what went through your head, because it
Then
was
we had
literally the
Jerry
last.
Nealon. We had Jerry Nealon then playing in goal.
Jerry Nealon
That
was.
was a nice little move, and he kicked it over the sideline then on purpose. That was
That's it. And
that
Joe
really won
Mulvey,
the game for us.
remember that Joe was from Clondcashel, and even though he's from Cashel, he trained Granard, and he was delighted for them afterwards. And you know,
Yeah.
we have to give a plug out to Jerry Cadden, because he done well with Granard. But I remember asking you after the game about, you know, how come you're cool, and you were just saying about you were just breathing in, breathing out, and you're so cool and calm after the game. I was thinking, oh my God, like, you're after scoring a 45 that has won the intermediate championship, brought us back, and then last year down in the park. Had to take a photograph because Stephen Lynch came back after an absence of a few years, because you became an adult. He
Yeah,
came
yeah. Well,
back,
sure,
and
you know.
it was
Yeah,
brilliant. It was
yeah.
brilliant watching you
I'm
back, and
actually gonna do a podcast on the with some of the intercounty players that took breaks and with some lads that did take breaks and went to play football abroad. We're gonna have a podcast about that, you know, and about why lads can't, you know, stick at it where some lads do. Like, look at Blessy and that football and Podgy, like they must have played 10, 12 years at the
yeah.
top. Like, why is it that those lads can do it and then me and Mickey Hussey there are off, you know?
I'm glad you're asking that
Short
question.
fleeting careers, you know. But at the same time, I have no regrets. I played county junior a few years ago.
You
Uh,
did,
yeah, you know what I
and
mean.
actually,
I
Gally
still,
played it, so it
I
was
was
good
actually
enough for Stephen Lynch. Yeah,
called in by who's the Kildare man that was the manager? What was his name? Can't remember now.
I don't know, it was someone different.
Glenn
What
Ryan.
name? Oh, Glenn.
Glenn called me in, but at the time I was living in Galway. I was working as a cook or a chef. I couldn't get weekends off. I couldn't even get back to play for Granard, really, to be honest.
Yeah,
My shoulder was dislocating like mad. Like, I just ended up just stopping the Gaelic and playing soccer down in Galway. You know what I mean? And I
yeah,
was in Galway for 5 years there. You know what I mean? So, you know, it just doesn't work out for everyone. You know, if I had been living in the bank house in Granard for all that time, I would have. There's nothing more I would have loved doing than playing for Longford. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You're off and you're away and you're living, and as you said, growing up. But the same day, at the same time, you know, you still that photo is just like, yeah, that's a good one. But thanks for the. And I'm
Well, I
glad
said to you that.
half forward actually, because I've marked nearly all the people that have been mentioned here for centre back. I have some great battles with the centre backs that are getting mentioned here, you know, and And I really like playing centre forward. Like, I like it. Of all the positions on the field, I kind of like centre forward, or maybe even corner forward, dropping into midfield. You know, they're my favourite positions. Most people put me down as wing back, but to be honest,
Lynchy.
I consider myself a forward, because I'll get you goals, and I'm a scorer.
That's one thing about you, yeah.
Yeah, and nick in for things, little snaky goals here and there, you know. So yeah, no, I'm happy with that. That's that. I wasn't, and by the way, anybody's listening, I did not ask. I'm chuffed though. I'm absolutely chuffed.
Thanks for the money. Thanks for the money, Lynchy.
Yeah. I'm chuffed about that.
No,
James,
I was honest.
yeah, well, fair enough. I'm sure everybody will be saying you're biased, but you're what harm? I don't care. I'll take it. I'm taking it.
I've been called
You're the only
worse,
one
so
to put me in. So I'm taking it. James McGivney and Paul Kenny then is the honourable mentions.
Yes, McGivney like that. On about your goal against Slashers. I see McGivney score a cracking goal for Mullinacht out in the Laurels, and then a couple of weeks afterwards, basically last kick of the game against Kilo, Mullinacht were nearly out with the championship, and he does it again. The guy just oozes class. It's just an awful pity that in the last number of years we didn't get to see, James fully in for the county, because he's had a few years where he came in and then obviously for whatever reason left the panel, because he's an absolutely fantastic footballer. And the thing about it is, a lot of the players that I would have in there, like you obviously have not played football, that likes of Paddy Fox and James McGivney, in a couple of years' time they would definitely be in my starting 15. It's just at the moment, I've seen James McGivney, but as I said, it's the last couple of years that, and whereas yourself, I would have seen you from minor, underage, right up until you were senior, intermediate, club and county.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're saying there. And Paul Kelly as well. He's another very, very good player.
Another very good player that was just dogged with injury. I remember talking to a great time for his father, Dave, and you'd meet him at matches and he'd say, "Oh God, Paul again," and you're like, "Oh no, how long has he gone for?" And it was just one of those things that for whatever reason he just, and like yourself, you had your injuries as well.
Oh yeah.
And it was just that he never got the rub of the green, and a fantastic footballer. And when you think back to Mayo all those years ago, and he was one player playing with Slashes, that the little red head of him, and he just had everything, wasn't afraid to take players on, involving players, just really, everything about him. And as I said, it's just unfortunate. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that injuries curtailed his career, because there's no doubt that he would have been one of he constantly in teams of the year and would have done a fantastic job.
But again, for the time he was there, top quality,
Oh, that's just
and James McGivney has many more years. Like he
that's the thing about it.
Yeah, he's still young, very lots more there, but definitely two good honourable mentions, and thank you, Denise, for sticking me in. And I like that centre forward. Yeah, that's. I was pretty happy about that, because most people always put me in wing back, and your stuff, Denise, because I would far prefer.
That's it. I've been following you around for too long. That's it, Lynchy.
Yeah, that's it. They always put me wing back on these things. But no. Right, Daniel Mimna. He has been on every. He's in every team.
Doesn't it tell you something about him? For me, Danny Mimna can, I'm repeating myself about the versatility. Last year, he was, for me, and rightly so, he got player of the year in Longford. He was the best player for the county, and he was the best player in the club. There's just, he's a joy to watch. He's steady, reliable. He can drop back and do a defensive job. He's also such a sharp shooter. Like, remember a couple of years ago in county finals, like he got man of the match in 2014 county final because he was just on fire, and he can still do that. I just love watching Daniel play, and when you look at Longford struggled this year up and down, and a big thing was beforehand that Rian Brady and Daniel Mimna were out injured. Now Danny was able to come in near enough the end, but he just wasn't fully fit. And you just know he's another player that can make Longford tick. You've Mickey Quinn himself, Donny McGilligan and Gally. Those players, you can build your team around those players.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the county team it's very, very strong. There's a lot of talent in there. A lot of Daniel, as you said, great man to score. I like that as well. He's where the goals are. He doesn't very accurate. Gary Rogers.
Gary Rogers, a guy that over the last number of years
Had a
has
few
just
great
been
seasons.
doing, yeah, has just been doing a job. You know, there's nothing fancy about Gary. There's nothing, but you can see how important he was to Mullinachta in their runs, and not just the penalty against Kilmacud Crokes, just
No.
even in the early days. It was just, Gary was you call him a workhorse. You
Mm.
look at the teams, and I remember, you know, my dad would always say that, and myself and my dad have much the same thoughts on players and that. And you'd look at him and you just see, oh, just look at Rogers is involved again. You know, he mightn't be getting the scores, but he'd be dropping back and he'd be picking up on the player. And, you know, what I like doing in a match is looking at individual players and not just looking at scores or whether, but how each player can kind of play and how they drop back and where they go and where they track and, you know, and forwards and where they make their
Do
positions
a
and
lot of
different things like that.
the unseen work.
The unseen work, and
Yeah,
that's
so then you
exactly
can,
what.
you're good. Then your Ian Brady's and them can get the ball, but how did they get the ball? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Who was winning
that's
it?
exactly it.
Who was winning
And
the break?
Gary,
Lincoln player, you know.
and like he's back in the county now. You know,
Very
he's
good.
one player that you can work around, and it's wonderful that, you know, the last couple of years that I'm able to have lads that are in the county, because I feel that these lads have such longevity, and you know, I have him here as an honourable mention because, as I say, in a couple of years' time,
And
he
that
will
penalty,
definitely
oh,
cool,
oh, I
wasn't it?
couldn't believe it myself. I was like, whoa, big one. I was like, who's gonna take it? Who's gonna take it? Gary Rogers,
Yeah,
really? Penalty taker.
yeah, I was the
Bang.
same. Yeah,
Oh yeah, because he did. I don't think Mullinachta ever got a penalty against us, so I didn't know who their penalty taker was going to be. You know what I mean?
No, I always knew there was Donny had always taken them,
Yeah, Tony
and I
McGilligan.
was
Yeah,
talking. Yeah, I was talking to Gary's uncle Kieran the other day, and I said to him, like, "Are you nervous?" And he said, "No," because he said whatever it is about Gary, when Gary takes on a job, he wants to do it right.
yeah.
And I was like, well, there you go. He
There
just
you
he
go.
just knew it in himself. But the lovely thing about the penalty was the two young lads. I don't know where they were from. Obviously, they were from Mullinachta. They were probably from Tullamore. And the fact that a Longford team were playing a Dublin team, the young lads behind the goals were celebrating it. But probably one of the most famous penalties around. So
Yeah, top notch.
the
And
one player that
Podgy Berry
Paddy Barry. Uh,
couldn't put him in ahead of Daniel. He was close though.
uh, yeah, it's just unfortunate that, you know, and then obviously he went away for a while. But another guy, a bit like Michael Brady, would play on one leg and has played with one leg. You could see him strapped up and you go, how is he able to? And he'd still do it. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
funny that, you know, Connor has to be mentioned, and he's such a young lad that has such a bright future as well. And we're going to say it all the time, that we just do have some fantastic talent in the county. We've had it and we have it at the moment. But just one thing about Podgy, and the thing about it is when he used to get that ball, pace, mother of God.
He's gonna
He
take
just
you
had
on.
something. Oh, do you remember him against Laois all those years ago? It's like, oh my God, just the head of him and the
Yeah.
ginger head of him, and he was just this
Yeah,
pacey.
I always thought he's very direct. You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
he's
yes,
just
yes.
gonna go for
He
goal.
knew what he was doing. Yeah, he knew what he was doing. When he had that ball,
Mm.
he knew exactly what he was going to do with that ball. And even last year in the championship, you know, he done things. They're going, what? You know, he still has it. He
Oh, of
still stuck in
course.
and got goals last year. You know, he's had
Yeah.
the last couple of years when Abbey Lara have needed someone. You know, he could still turn
Oh,
around
of
and do
course.
a
I'd say
job.
there's
Yeah,
plenty of football. Yeah, as you said, like
yeah.
he's still going to be able to stick the ball over the bar with his
Oh,
eyes
yeah.
closed. You
Or
know
in
what
the
I mean?
net.
So
Yeah,
if you give him a sniff, it's going to be over the bar.
yeah.
He probably have to change his game a little bit compared to the old game he used to play. But I'm sure he used to be an awful one for to come onto a ball at pace. You know what I mean? Like he never
Yeah.
got the ball standing still. He was always coming, and when he got the ball, he'd just be going hard. You know what I mean? Very hard stopped, Podgy Berry. But I
He
reckon,
would be. He would have been great on a rugby field.
oh yeah, yeah, second center, first center,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%, yeah, absolutely. All right, let's keep going. Sean McCormick is in everybody's team as well.
I this guy just I have such a great time for Sean McCormick, not just as a footballer, as a person, you know, in the last number of years, you know, Longford, I've missed him, and I said to him after the county final last year, I was like, any chance of you coming back? And he was just saying, no, he just didn't feel, you know, as you said yourself, you know, sometimes it's injury, sometimes you just know yourself, or your body tells you, or your mind tells you, you know, not to do it. But how lucky we were at Longford.
I would say
Fantastic forward.
I'd say it's more of a case of it's the commitment that's required these days. You know what I mean? Like it's so, oh God, how many trainings, diets,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
it's nearly 7 days a week, really,
yeah, it's
Lynchy,
tough, you
when you
know.
put in your
So
games, your
when
training,
you've been
and
at it
obviously stuff
for
that
so
you're
long,
doing. Yeah.
you know, but definitely, and could just probably just slot back in there. You could probably just, he could go out
Oh.
probably tomorrow
Do you know what I love about
and
him
play
though?
a football match and be, you know what I mean? Like he'd be well able. You could put him on
Good. Yeah.
any pitch.
But what I love about him is he is so unassuming. He
Mm,
just takes it on in his stride. You know, you could praise him. He's got man of the match in awards and that, and he just like, it's all water, a bit like yourself. It's all water off a duck's back. Like you got man of the match in 2012, and you were like, oh yeah, you know, and it wasn't like kind of your blasé, but you know, to you it was just nothing, you know, nothing special. You know, it was a team thing, and
exactly.
Sean is
It's
very
more
much
the
like that. And I
crack,
was
you
so,
know, with the lads that you're
yeah, and I was
glad
so
just to go
delighted
to the
last
pub and
year.
have a few pints and talk about the game, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, be a
Like,
good lad to just. You'd like to go for a couple of pints there now in the Forge there with Sean McCormick after a match there and just chat
he's a
about.
great guy to chat to. Yeah, he is a brilliant guy to chat to.
Yeah, sounds
And
right.
I'm lucky. Yeah, I'm lucky in my work that I do have the opportunity, obviously, to see lads playing, but also when you're doing interviews for county finals or whatever, you get a chance to talk to them. And I'd
Mm.
always say I don't interview them. I have a chat. And I was so delighted for him last year, you know, captaining Kilo, because to the McCormicks, Kilo were everything. And, you know, his cousin Joe had done it. And
Mm.
obviously, with Lord of Mercy, with his dad and everything, and Porrick was
Joe
involved. And
also should be in for
cousins,
honourable mentions at centre back as well.
oh, some beast.
Yeah, he's a
Some
serious
beast.
centre back. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
But I don't know, Sean just, you know, the last couple of years, as I said, he could still do it. Like, and he keeps himself so fit. Even when he's had a couple of injuries
Oh
and
yeah.
that, even when he was injured and that, he kept himself so fit and he worked so hard, and that's what I like about him.
I'll tell you a story. The reason I know he's freaking good because we were playing for Spartak Granard. I was playing for Spartak, and a couple of years back, and it was in the off season of the Gaelic, you know,
Mm.
and we were out somewhere out in Drumlish. I don't know what the name of the team he was playing for was, but this was in the middle now. This is how down to earth he is. You know, he's an inter-county
Yeah,
star and he's going out with his buddies to play soccer on a Saturday in the off season. You know what I mean? Like not a bit of fear, oh, I might get injured, oh, I'm too good for this. No. Playing in that soccer game. But anyway, I was having a great match there. I was playing kind of centre half. Everything was going swimmingly. I was really. Do you know who else was playing that day? I nearly swear Jared Carberry was playing that day as well.
I was actually going to say I would
I
have to
nearly
give.
swear he was playing. But anyway, I was playing centre half and I was really enjoying myself. And he was kind of up front, or he might have come on up front. I can't remember. But something happened. I don't know if I slipped or the ball, something. I made one mistake. I made one error in the game. And what did he do? Back of the net. Bang. One chance. Tucked it away like a pro
So,
on a
yeah,
shite pitch. On a shite pitch. On a pitch. Not a shite pitch, but a pitch that was muck
worse than the old
ridden,
park.
dirty. It wasn't a terrible pitch. Like it wasn't the worst pitch I've ever
Was it
played.
like the old park, Lynchy?
But compared to playing Pierce Park, this was out in out. I don't know where we were. I don't know where the game was. But anyway, it wasn't the worst pitch ever. But just he got one chance on a terrible pitch. Ball. I don't know if I slipped or something, and bang, back in, and a beautiful finish. Like if Suarez or someone did it, you'd be all over Sky Sports.
You mentioned Jer Carberry,
Mm.
and you know, and even thinking of Fish Labour working Granard, like on his day, Fish probably was the most talented player I've seen play. Like he could do anything. But Jer Carberry last year in a junior final, um, Jerry had to go off injured, and to me, he was like man of the match. The guy could still do a job. He looks about 10, like himself and Ryan together, or like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito in
He's as fit as a
Twins.
fiddle.
But the guy is just absolutely can still do it. Not a great referee, sorry, Jerry, but great footballer.
I actually always thought he was an all right ref, to be honest.
No. You
I
don't praise
was
referees.
a bit of a fan. I always got on. Yeah.
You don't praise referees. No.
We're trying not to make enemies with refs here. You know. We got to keep them sweet, you know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. All the refs in Longford are savage, class. They are, though. I know. In fairness to the refs, like by the way, shout out to the refs. Yeah. Shout out to the refs. It's not an easy job. You know, you have.
Oh, it's not an easy job, and the thing about it is, you can have the crack with them. You can have the crack with referees.
And to be honest, you can have the crack with most of them. That's the truth, you know. So, but they have a tough gig. Brian Kavanagh and Butch Nevin.
Yeah, when you think of that, Cav had such a fantastic run with Longford, and he didn't make the team. It's just the last number of years I wouldn't have seen Cav playing club football or that, whereas I've seen Sean doing it for Kilo and obviously for Longford. But Cav, another exceptional player, you know, and he knew how to. The one thing about Cav was, and he must tell some of the lads at Longford how to do it. He knew how to win a free. He just had that. Wherever he could do it, he just knew how to win a free. It's just his mind and everything. And to me, and I'm not
kind
just
of draw the foul, like.
Yeah, he just knew how to draw the foul. Yeah, and for me, I'm not just saying it. I think that the best reader of the game in Longford was Butch Nevin.
The best,
absolutely,
the best reader of a game.
Reader. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. And I remember one time his performance against him, they absolutely piss and rain against Portlaoise. Remember it, you know, unfortunately he went to extra time with the loss. And he was just, oh my God, just everything about him. And he was one guy, and it's an awful pity. I'd love to have seen him getting a run with the county, because he had everything as a player. And what I liked about him, and we talk about players involving other players, Butch evolved guys, but he also had confidence in his talent.
Oh yeah, but I remember. You know how long I know Butch Nevin, Martin Nevin, and I would have seen it. I know Martin Nevin from Stone Park National School. I went to national school. Oh yeah,
I'd say he was a cheeky, chappy fella back then, was he?
He was class then.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just a natural little footballer then. He was a bit younger than me, you know what I mean? But even
he was never selfish though, Lynchy.
He was the best player.
Yeah, he was never selfish. You know, if he had a chance, he'd take it. But if he didn't have it, he'd square it off to someone else. And that's what I liked about him. And when you think of the Slashers' success in the last, and we know when Slashers done well, Butch was involved in a lot of it.
Of course he was, yeah.
You know, he was, you know, other players will obviously.
As you said, he's clever.
Other players will handle it, yeah. Like you look at your Michael Brady's, Dermot, Gilly, Philly, you know, Trevor Clinton.
Like if Dermot saw Butch coming in on him, Dermot would know all about it. Dermot would be going, right, better be on my game
here.
Out
of the way.
Yeah, he's gonna anybody. He could do a job on anyone.
Yeah, no, it's just a pity I've never seen him.
With the county?
I
don't know why that is. I have no idea.
I don't know whether or not, yeah. No, myself and my dad would always say that about him. And, you know, and I know he probably thinks, oh, yeah, she's full of BS. But no, definitely, Butch, I say it straight out, probably to me one of the best readers of the game.
Yeah. I'm sure, I don't know. He looked fit enough in that video. Fair play to Butch, by the way.
He's coming back playing junior. He told me. And I didn't want to tell him that because Sean was meant to be coming back playing junior. So I just thought it'd be absolutely hilarious. Two old fellas on the field now playing football. But no, that guy keeps himself well. And I'd say he could still do a bloody job.
Absolutely. Niall Sheridan, full forward. You went for Big Niall.
Went for Big Niall. Exactly. Listen, a class act. Give the ball into Big Niall. That was basically it, and let him do the rest. When you think about it, like, he's such great scoring prowess, and not just many a fullback in county, like many a fullback in Ireland he terrorised. Like I remember, you know, Paddy Christie struggling with him. You know, top guys struggling to mark Niall Sheridan. I know he was big in stature, but he also had the strength. You know, he could play. If you give Niall a ball and you just knew what kind of ball to give into Niall, as I said, he could do the rest.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
just had it.
yeah. Oh, 100% had it. And a good soccer player by all accounts as well. Now, I
Yeah,
never saw him playing
he was a
soccer,
bit like
but
yourself. Yeah, he was with the town as
he
well.
was in
So
with the town. But that's
yeah,
where you see the eye for goal.
yes.
You know what I
But
mean? Like,
he
he
never took
has
on a
it.
goal though. If he didn't have the chance, he'd pop it over the bar. But if he knew he
Word.
had the goal, yeah.
Yeah. But you're a great man for his other forwards as well. Must have had a dream on him because like he drew 2 or 3 backs, or the amount of attention he was drawn, and he would still win it. And then
Oh yeah.
that left other lads free. You know what I mean? So he could just, and he was very clever with the ball. I'd say he was good at basketball or something as well, because
Do you know what? He was a gentle giant as well.
he wasn't. Not on the pitch, he wasn't gentle at all. He's tough. He was very physical. Good lord, but not nothing malicious. But I'll
No,
tell
that's
you
what I'm
that
saying.
he
That's
was.
what I'm
Oh,
saying. Like he was never.
he looked. He was gentle giant off the field, but man, when he was playing, he was playing. He was tough. I tell you, very very strong. I couldn't believe it actually when I marked him that for half an hour. I was like, he's just
Yeah,
so.
his strength. His
Yeah,
strength
you
was
don't
like
think
he
that
had the ability.
he's going to do that because you know him
Yeah.
off the field, you know him as just being a sound man. But then when you actually mark him, you realize, oh
He
my
just
God.
brush your aside, Lynchy.
Oh, when he decides to put all his strength into it, I'm sorry, but you're losing that battle. You have to put someone else
Was it
with you.
Cliffy or Blessy that marked him one time and actually done a decent job on him?
Yeah, people say that, but if the ball was coming in right and he was getting in the
Oh,
proper,
you know,
I
he
think,
knew,
like,
but his eye.
I think if you can get the ball properly into Niall Sheridan, it doesn't freaking
Oh,
matter
forget about it.
who's marking him.
But he had the eye for it. He kind of knew
Oh
what direction. He watched. He could watch the flight of a ball and knew.
yeah.
He had that ball kicked and everything. Normally, guys had the ball kicked and then they lose it. Whereas Niall had it kicked and he knew rightly because he was going to get that ball and he
Slick
knew what he
hands
was
as
going to do
well.
with it.
Very, very, very good hands when he got the ball into his hands. Just flick like soft touch. You know what I mean? Like he'll just with a very subtle little hand pass off to forwards that are moving past them, like Podgy
Yeah.
Davis and Garage Fay. How many points did they get off Niall? You know what I mean? Like how many
Yeah,
points are?
that was it. He was never selfish.
No, not at all. No.
No,
Because he knew himself that he was dragging in 3 or 4 lads, and if he could win it, that there'd be 3 lads elsewhere. He's
so
too
true.
clever,
Yeah,
like, you know. Robbie Smith and Philly.
Robbie Smith and Philly. To me, Robbie Smith has just got everything. He is a fantastic. He is a fantastic footballer. I say to him sometimes, though, he's other things that kind of get him in trouble. But he just and when you talk to him, like on the field, Robbie is just in game mode. But off the field, I love chatting to Robbie and I love interviewing him because he's very honest. He's a
Yeah,
great guy. And I heard a story the other day about when he was in secondary school, a young lad came on and they were winning well. And this young lad wouldn't have gotten many games. And Robbie Robbie had a chance to score. And Robbie passed the ball to give the young lad a chance to score on a point. And the young lad was lying. And I was like, yeah, well, that is Robbie. He can do things like that.
yeah,
It's just a pity in the last number of years that, he's had injuries. And then obviously he left the county because to me, he was one of the players. Like imagine having him and Rian there at the moment in the county. We just miss him. He's just, as I say about Niall's scoring prowess, Robbie's the same. We talk about Morris
loads of the
Fitzgerald's
goals there.
points and everyone speaks about Morris Fitzgerald's point. Well, it's an awful pity. RTE had the cameras in Louth a couple of years ago when Robbie scored a point just as good as Morris Fitzgerald did from the sideline in the Gaelic grounds in Drogheda.
Yeah,
That was Robbie.
he has that
Against
heavy artillery, right?
against Monaghan, against Down in the last couple of years, just big games. Robbie could still do it. For club as well. And another guy, a bit like his cousin Podgy, that if he was injured, he'd still. And even though a couple of years ago for the county final, he still wasn't fully fit, but that was Robbie. Still wanted to tug out and play. He's just that kind of guy, and I would love dearly to see because he's so young. And has still got so much left and so much to offer the county. I'd love to see him coming back into the county. But
Plenty of time.
yeah, like he's
Plenty.
so young.
Yeah. But like I reckon, like he's still not even really at the prime yet. You know, him and Darren, they're the same age. I reckon they're in about 2 years really. When well, this year, next 2-3 years, we'll just see them kind of hit
You're
their
looking at
real
them, Danny Mimna, Podgy
yeah,
McCormick,
Podger
and
McCormick,
them lads.
all those lads. Yeah.
James McGivney, they were all parts of that under 2021 squad, 2010 squad, and then the 2013 under 21 squad.
Bit of a flood coming through, yeah. It's a good group, you know. You get them out, and it's the same with the minor squad that came through a few years ago. You know, you get these groups coming through. We got to an under 21 final, Leinster final as well. Year, you know, like, and then you get a few off that, but hopefully he'll go back in.
We'll see. He was a great game that day
And
against
Philly, Stephen Phillips.
Philly, you know, and I seen Benny put it in, and you know, it wasn't biased on Benny's behalf because Stephen Phillips deserved it. Unfortunately for me, I was looking at other players, and you know, Niall are still club and county was absolutely outstanding. Philly, another guy that I feel, you know, didn't, you know, really get a look in properly in the county. Fantastic footballer. I'm just thinking of games over the years, and I remember one game over in Ballymahan against Drumlish, and he was just on fire, like, you know, it's one that we call the fire brigade from. You know, that was it. You know, he was your typical nippy little forward.
Nah, I'll tell you what he is. He's your townie forward. He's a townie forward. Yeah, he's a soccer player. A lot of soccer and very, very good soccer player. Like really, really, really good soccer player. But like when I like go back the years of Phil, like, oh man, yeah, just. It's like, I just think he's a real kind of townie. Like, he's got the flash. He's always got the, you know, that bit of style when he gets the ball, and you know, he's got the vision. Like, as I said, like he's
confident.
Yeah, before he has the ball in his hands, he already probably knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
like, he knows if he's going to play a through ball. He knows if he's going to lay it off. He knows if he's going to turn his man and shoot. He's clever because he was never really the strongest, biggest, you know, physical of guys. So when you have someone that doesn't rely on their size, like Niall had size, you know what I mean, and Niall worked to his strengths, but Philly was the opposite to Niall, and he worked to his, you know what I mean, nippy 20-yard dash, get the ball, get it up, flick, get it into the hands really quickly, don't get caught with the ball on the ground. You know, if the ball's on the ground, don't bend over to pick it up. Play a bit of soccer. Get yourself out of trouble. You know what I mean? He's always very, very fat, very quick brain.
And he's never cocky. That was what I liked about Philly. Never cocky. He just had this confidence about him. And as you said, probably had that little bit of a swagger about him.
Yeah, just
that soccer swagger,
boys, you know, they sometimes have that bit of soccer, like that little bit of silky skill, you know. He always had it. Very good vision. Very, very good vision.
Yeah. No, a player that I just felt didn't get it.
The 2 feet thing. You can't.
Yeah, it was a player.
Yeah, like still always could work off the left as well. So that's always a good attribute, you know.
Yeah, it was just a pity we didn't really get to see much of him in the county.
Yeah, but these things happen. But the fact that he keeps making all these teams, you know, it shows you that him and Butch now
must be doing something good. Be, that's what I said to you. You know, when you look at that Slashers team in the last number of years, you know, when they won so many championships, the reason why you look at them players, and I've mentioned Gilly, I've mentioned, okay, they might have been in my starting 15, but they were there or thereabouts.
But they know, like, Philly was well trained as a soccer player, you know what I mean? Like, so when you see Philly, like, you'd be thinking, like, he played for Tefia Harps, he played under Zach Hackett, he played under Joe Farrell in soccer, he would have Leo Devlin soccer. Like, he's he's had some very good soccer coaches, and you can see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the soccer and the Gaelic, they work very well together. You know what I mean? Like, you can use a lot of your soccer skills when you're playing. You'll often see Philly would do that. You know what I mean? For example, the ball will be rolling into him. He's not going to bend up, bend down and pick it up. He's probably going to flick it up on the run. You know what I mean? He had that touch, you know. Like, no more than Podgy, you know, Podgy Davis. As we're looking, there you go.
What can we say about Mr. Davis? Well, he's not doing too badly now as a manager, so I can rate him on that. But no, just looking back to Podgy, and he made Longford tick. You know, you talk about Niler and You talk about Podgy, and we're talking about lads that we talk about Butch and Philly, how well they work together, and then you look at Niler and Podgy, and there was just something about them. You know, if Podgy Davis was probably in a different county, he would have won All-Stars, you know, like Paul Barber. So
Yeah,
many of the long players would say that.
comparable to your Declan Browns, you know what I mean? Like
Yes,
he's that.
yes, your Leighton Glynns, lads like that, you know, don't get the recognition that they deserve, and fantastic players. And as I said, you know, when you hear players outside the county talking about our players, like, you know, I'm just talking about James Mash, just another guy that never got an All-Star, and a fantastic footballer. But I just thought just his free taking alone, just everything about that, you know, because normally, you know, great footballers, and you kind of think that they're going to bring it into it as a manager, but as I said, he's not doing too bad as a manager. But he was just a fantastic player, because, you know, obviously he was a forward, and, you know, his scoring and all that, but just his play, his all-round play as well, made him special.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, he's that kind of corner forward you want. He's cheeky, he's tricky. You give him a chance, he's gonna stick it. Like, one chance, that's it.
Yeah,
One chance is all they're
he
looking
scored a good
for, and
couple of
then if they
points
get
against
that
us,
one, then
and
they look for number two. But he's just thinking, give me a sniff of the goal, I'm gonna bury it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And like, yeah, just a really, really natural footballer. Really, as I
yeah, he
said,
scored
again,
a good few points
probably
against us,
one
and
game short of an all-star. You know what I mean? If
that's
Longford,
it. Yeah,
you know what
you
I
look
mean?
at
If
Cav
Longford,
and
one
look
of
at Paul
those years,
Barber. Yeah,
like that game that you're looking at there, that's Dublin in 2004 or 2005, I reckon, in Croker. Like, if you win that game, you know, did well in a few games, and then just couldn't get that extra game to get into like a quarter
yeah,
final. You see any of the teams that are getting the All Stars, the lower division teams, it's usually when the year that they get to a quarter final.
yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
it
It's
was
usually the
unfortunate
year
then that
that
we
they
got Dublin,
just couldn't get
Lynchy all the time in Crow Park. And like, we've only had them once in the last number of years outside Longford, or outside Dublin. That was 2006, when we actually should have beaten them.
to. Oh yeah.
You know, and actually the two times the Longford beaten them in the Byrne Cup actually has been down in Glennon Brothers Pierce Park. But as you said, you know, and Benny O'Brien was just saying, made a comment about, we're talking about the talent in the county, and it's such a pity that they didn't come all together.
One
But we
second there,
have
Denise. 1
bunches.
second. I just have to recording. Hello?
Yeah,
Are you there? Yeah. Give me one
yeah,
second.
and there.
Share that. Oh no, we're back to the end of your team. I'm
Oh well,
ruining everything.
listen, we were nearly finished anyway.
Yeah.
Honourable mentions. I had Rian Brady and Jamesy Martin, and then obviously as well, we should have
There
been.
we go. I got it back.
Oh, Francie, geez, you're magic. Francie McGee, you know, you look at those three players, Francie and Jamesy still do it for Granard. You know, Francie McGee his scoring prowess, just everything about him, fantastic. Jamesy Martin, give him a sniff and he'll put the ball away. But you're looking at Rian Brady now, you know, in with the county. He was a fantastic underage player, got man of the match when Canuck won the All-Ireland back in 2013. And
Very
he's one
tricky.
player that you're kind of looking at, you know, with the
Bit
David
like Philly.
McGivens and
Bit like
David
Philly.
McGilligan. Yes, his stature as well. Quite
Yeah.
yeah.
Just that confidence on the ball, you know, that control, that kind of sure with the touch, you know what I mean? Like, got that nice great touch, you know what I mean? I think he can score from distance too.
Yeah. And what
Yeah.
I like about Rian over the last number of years was he's matured. You know, he would have been just this little kind of meek, and because, you know, you're obviously he's got the talent, and but, you know, when you play county football, and obviously when Mullinach were in Leinster, you're coming up against tougher teams and that. And over the last number of years, he's really grown, and he's filled out as well as a player. And I love watching Rian, and you know what? You're right when you're saying it, how like Stephen Phillips he is. And when you think of it, he
Similar
has so
style.
many years left. If we can get that team, you know, I'm looking through it now, and I'm just thinking, Podgy Davis is probably thinking, if we can get all the lads now at
Oh
the
yeah.
moment,
If he had all,
To
if he
get,
had his full fleet of players there now,
yeah,
they'd be hard beaten. Jamesy Martin.
yeah. Listen, I won't call him an old man. I'll call him an experienced man. But a guy I remember years ago, when Longford got promoted over in Ballymahan, and he had some game for Longford then, and even in the championship in the last number of years, you know, he was starting for Granard, you know, and you couldn't not start him,
Mm.
and
Sweet
he
left
still know where
foot.
the back of, yeah, he still know where the back of the net is. You know, he kind of, you know, he can dink as well,
Mm.
and he also, there's just, when Jamesy had the ball, he just knew there was, as you know, we mentioned before about guys having that bit of confidence, but he had the confidence himself that he knew to take on a shot and take on a score, but he
Mm.
was also very unselfish as well.
Yeah, excellent player, excellent player. And we're going to have to finish up soon because my dinner is actually on the table and I'm going to get in trouble. But you went
And
for
Grace is going to eat it.
Mickey Graham there as the Bonish store.
Yes, I know, Dennis, and I have a great time for you, but I just, over the last number of years, I would have got to know Mickey very well, managed Clongaish, but
He's at
just to
County
the
now,
last,
isn't he? He's with Cavan, so.
he's with Cavan,
Yeah.
he's with Cavan now, and just from talking to the Mullinach, the lads, there's nothing that Mickey wouldn't do for those lads. You know, all they had to do was turn up for training. You know, he had everything else done, and John Denny was a fantastic man with him. And you know, Jerry Lane, Jerry Fox had brought Mullinach to so far, but they needed to do something, and he was the man that just,
He
you
did the
know,
job.
made it all click. And he's a great time for football. You know, as obviously he trained Clongaish beforehand, and then Mullinach, and he's always read Longford football highly, and he'd do his homework on Longford. But yeah, and listen, I had to give the
Raji.
daddy of the daddy of Granard football. You know
Yeah.
yourself, Lynch. It doesn't matter what game
Well,
is on, where it is.
I've had a few very good coaches down through the years, you know. I've had Billy McDermott over in Grattan's. I've had, so that my first coach would have been with Grattan's, would be Billy McDermott. He would have, so that was good. And who else? Oh, I've had some great coaches, but definitely when I moved to Granard, I got schooled. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember training down with Raji. Just, oh man, it was all ball. It was a lot of fun. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It was
yeah. And when
always a
Ryan
game.
heard him,
Sometimes
when
a
he
soccer
praised
match.
Ryan,
Sometimes a soccer match at the end of training. Like, you know what I mean? He throw
hey,
in.
he was a fantastic. That guy could have played across the water.
Oh,
Only
I
for
imagine
Gaelic was his
so.
first love. Yeah, a good Liverpool fan too. But when Ryan Casey took over Granard, and when he heard Ryan, or when Raji was saying things, it was like the Godfather. When Raji speaks, Ryan listens. You know, it's a bit like that. Obviously, you'd have Jody Sheridan in there carrying the water bottles as well. So we have to give poor old Jody a mention. But
Yeah.
I think those two, you know,
Jody
together
should
would
have a lot of players too.
do a job.
I know Raji, yeah. And I remember him coming in when we were with the under 21s there a few years back, and he came in and did a bit of work with the county under 21s, and just the lads had just such respect for him. Like everybody, Tommy
That's,
Nolan, all the
yeah,
boys on that under 21 team were just like Raji Martin, legend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and passion. Yeah, yeah. Absolute gentleman as well. So I think
two
that's a
very
good note.
passionate men.
A good note to leave it on. You have your team up there on the right. I think it's a solid team. I'm sure everybody will agree that all three teams. Probably won't be doing another one of these podcasts. So on the Longford best 15, I think I've three is plenty. I've got the three best teams going. So happy days. You know what I mean?
It's good to see the variety as well. So
Yeah, I think, and I think some of the honorable mentions have been amazing. You know what I mean? So, anyway, we leave it at that, Denise. I'm gonna get killed here if I don't go in and get me dinner.
Grace is going to be eating it on you.
Yeah,
Listen, take
I'll
care of
tell
yourself,
you.
Lynchy.
Yeah,
Lovely chatting to you.
tell Liam I said well. All right.
I will, no
See
problem.
you
Okay,
later.
bye.
Good luck, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye bye.